Cleavers, 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 cleavers. Big, wide, stout blades intended to chop. That is their main purpose in their lives anyway. The chopping motion, chopping, slashing, not sure what the exact origins are of the cleaver, but to my understanding, at least when it comes to the kitchen, the cleaver is a knife meant to chop bones up, literally split bones. You just want a lot of weight, a lot of steel. The sheer mass we have here is what gives our cleaver style blade stability and structural integrity. All of that weight, all of that force coming down in one quick motion like that is what gives us our chop. The chop is intended to break materials apart, split materials up. Think of like an axe or something. Good luck trying to define all different kinds of blade styles. There's just so many nitty-gritties and intricate little details that make this one styled like that, make this one called that has a different name, that's a modified something or other, blah, blah, blah. But generally speaking, a cleaver, even though you can see these two look quite different, this is more a santoku style blade, which is kind of like a cleaver. You can see towards the tip, it's more rounded up here. This guy down here, this Cleaver flat iron Boger S2 up here. This one's more squared off. This one just has a slightly more acute tip, just slightly. I still define it as a cleaver style blade, but you may call this a sheep's foot. You may call it a santoku. Same with this guy up here, this CJRB Tigress, similar blade style right there. But generally speaking, regardless of what you call these, they're kind of in that category of having a very, very obtuse tip. Technically, there is a tip here, it's just it's very, very obtuse. Very, very wide angle, so it barely can pierce. Technically, it can. You technically can do a pierce or penetration motion with this. Yeah, technically, it's not very good at it. In fact, it's terrible for it, but you can do it. But we're sacrificing a tip for sheer structural integrity and strength, and the strength gives us the ability to chop, slash, etc. These are still just as good, if not better, for a slicing motion. You don't really need the tip to be up here and acute in order to slice open, let's say, a package or something. One of the most commonly used motions for cutting we use in the knife world anyway. This motion right here. Doesn't really matter how acute or how thin the blade is. You can still do this with a very, very wide, almost tipless or sheep's foot style blade like this. Another advantage they have is you can consider these safer for specific tasks because the tip is down here and out of the way. You're not going to get cut if you touch anything or any material touches this portion of the blade up here at the spine. It's almost like we have a longer, rounded spine, so to speak. Very short answer, cleaver style folders, santokus, sheep's feet, whatever you want to call these things. We're sacrificing a tip for sheer strength. That's basically what it boils down to. Another thing is you can use these as makeshift pry bars, especially if you have a really thick-ass blade like this one right here. Good luck trying to snap the tip. I mean, you can snap any knife. Doesn't matter how strong it is. Doesn't matter if it's a fixed blade. If you abuse it enough and pry enough at a certain length, eventually you're going to snap the blade. I don't recommend you do that, but in a pinch, cleavers can also help for doing prying style work, makeshift flathead screwdrivers for dire situations like that. But again, the big advantage we have going for these is the strength. Now, let's step beyond what I just talked about right here and go into the whole topic of, does it even matter for EDC, everyday carry, folding knives? Generally, no. I think the cold, harsh reality is we like our folding knives because we like them. We think they're cool. We like really high-end blade steels because it's valuable and it's cool. It's the same reason we get really valuable cars or jewelry or watches. We just like stuff that's kick-ass and cool and fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But do we need it? Most of us don't. There are exceptions. But generally speaking, most of us making and watching these videos here on YouTube and the internet, Instagram, etc., most of us don't need any particular kind of folder. Anything that cuts stuff usually is good enough. It's like a pistol. You want a defense pistol? 9mm is not going to punch through anything, man. You need 40 S&W. Oh, the 40 S&W sucks. It's overpressure. There's too much recoil. You got to get a 45 ACP. 45 ACP is too slow. That's not going to kill anyone. That's not going to do anything. You need to get 10mm. 10mm penetrates too much. Blah, 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 blah. A bullet is a bullet, guys. A knife is a knife. You know, it doesn't, personally, I don't think it matters that much. Yeah, there's fine tuning and that last 5% or 10% better execution and better performance you can get with this or that and the other thing. But at the end of the day, a blade is a blade as long as it's sharp enough, you have a good enough steel, you have a good enough heat treatment, good enough lockup. Personally, that's all that really matters to me. So the point I'm trying to make is, even with a knife like this, some people may laugh at a cleaver style folder. Oh man, you can't cut anything with that. You can't? I can. It's not as good for piercing, but again, instead of the piercing motion, we sacrifice some of that for the chopping motion. That's basically what a cleaver is for. What do you think of the Cleaver santoku sheepsfoot style blades? Do you like them? Is there anything in particular about them that you don't like? Are they actually annoying? Do you find them less useful than typical drop point, clip point, spear point style blades? Anything that noticeable? Personally, again, I don't do the piercing motion very much at all with my everyday cutting tasks. I'm trying to go in for a thrust attack, perhaps, in a defensive situation, I suppose. Yeah, you're limited in that sense. You're not going to be able to do that very well. But from what I understand, in most defensive situations that come up that last within just a couple of seconds at most people do not do thrust movements. It's usually a slash or a chop, kind of a get off me move. Unless you are, the attacker and you're backstabbing someone or something. I mean, that's the only situation where I could see these not being as good. But for defense, lawfully defending yourself, by the way, YouTube, please do not deactivate my account. Lawful defense, it's usually this kind of quick swipe motion, from what I understand anyway. So if anything, you could see that as an advantage for a defensive blade. I happen to think they're just really cool. I think they're just kick-ass, cool, fat blades. They're just cool looking. I think they're awesome. They're just very obtrusive in a good way. I just like how they're very actuated. The blade is kind of the star of the show, even more so. The blade's a lot wider than the handle itself. So let me know any knives you have that have blades kind of like this or similar to this. I would love to take a look at them. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe for more gun, knife, flashlight, lighter, gear videos, etc. Feel free to support me on Patreon as well. Link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Mannix out.